They carved the turkey like I never existed. But I wasn't gone. I was watching. I didn't expect to feel my heart drop like that, not after all these years. But as I slowed my car in front of the house I built with my own hands and saw the warm golden light spilling through the windows, I realized they were inside, every single one of them, celebrating Thanksgiving, without me. The laughter was the same. The smell of roasted turkey and sweet potato pie drifted faintly through the cracked window, but the faces at that long oak table didn't look for me. No chair was set at the head. My chair, the one I occupied every Thanksgiving for 30 years. I pulled the car over to the curb across the street, cut the engine, and let the quiet hum of the night settle in. The porch was strung with the same old lights I had hung myself 15 years ago. The wreath was new, gaudy and gold, but everything else was mine. My house, my table, my legacy, and yet I wasn't welcome inside. Through the bay window I saw Marcus, my eldest son, standing at the head of the table, carving the turkey with that smug grin he inherited from me, but twisted into something colder. His wife Tanya leaned against his shoulder, whispering something in his ear that made him chuckle. My daughter Celia poured wine into crystal glasses I bought the year she was born. I clenched the steering wheel. Marcus, inside laughing. Let's raise a glass to family, to new traditions, Celia, and to moving forward. They clinked glasses. My grandchildren clapped. The words stabbed deeper than any knife. New traditions. They meant without me. I lowered the window slightly. The air was cold, biting, sharp enough to keep me from breaking. I watched my youngest grandson, Jamie, reach for a slice of pie. He had my smile. He didn't know me. Not really. I left when he was barely walking. Tanya, don't let him have too much, Marcus. You know how he gets, Marcus. I know. I'm not dad laughter again. Softer this time, but mocking. I leaned back in my seat, letting the memories push through. For years, this was the night everyone waited for. I carved the turkey while Marcus handled the wine. Celia set the table. Tanya used to call me Dad with syrupy sweetness. We weren't perfect, but we were together. Until the papers. Until the betrayal. The house looked the same, but I was the ghost now. A flash of memory hit, 10 years earlier. Marcus, younger, firm. Dad, it's just paperwork. A temporary transfer. You'll still live here. Me. Why do you need it in your name at all? Tanya, fake smile. For tax purposes. Everyone does it. You'll thank us later. Celia, avoiding eye contact. It's not a big deal, Dad. I remember the pen in my hand shaking slightly as I signed. I didn't know then that signature was the beginning of my exile. I blinked the memory away and focused back on the window. Marcus was telling a story now, waving the carving knife dramatically. The kids were laughing. Tanya nodded like a queen surveying her court. And then, like a punch to the gut, I noticed something else. The head of the table, the chair I always sat in, wasn't empty. Marcus sat there. He had taken my place completely. Marcus, raising glass. To the man who built this house, wherever he is. Tanya, snickering, probably watching football alone. Celia, awkward laugh. Marcus. What? He made his choice. My blood ran cold. I made my choice. Number. They made theirs. They pushed me out, piece by piece, until there was nothing left to hold on to. I exhaled slowly, fogging up the glass. My reflection stared back at me. An older man, graying beard, eyes sharp, not broken, not anymore. I could have driven away. I could have pretended it didn't hurt. But I stayed, watching, listening, observing every smirk, every false toast, every empty to family. Tanya, this is how Thanksgiving should feel? Peaceful Celia. Yeah, it's nice not to have, tension. Marcus. We're stronger without the old ways. It's time to build our own legacy. They cheered. And that's when something inside me shifted. Not like a wound reopening, but like a lock clicking. I whispered to myself, legacy, huh? We'll see about that. The wind picked up, rustling the dry leaves along the sidewalk. A couple walked past, their breath clouding in the night air. They glanced at me briefly, probably assuming I was just another neighbor admiring the holiday lights. But I wasn't admiring anything. I was calculating. I studied the porch door, the same one I replaced after Marcus broke it sneaking in as a teenager. I scanned the edges of the window. the patterns of movement inside, old habits. When you've spent your life building something, you know every inch of it, even after they strip your name off the deed. I pulled out my phone and took a few quiet photos through the window. The laughter, the table, Marcus sitting in my chair. Evidence, though I wasn't sure why I called it that yet. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe I already knew what was coming. Jamie climbed onto Marcus's lap. Marcus lifted his glass again. Marcus, to the Ross family, and to this house. May it always stay in the family. The table erupted in cheers. I turned the key in the ignition and whispered, "Not for long." The engine rumbled softly. I didn't peel out or make a scene. I pulled away slow, letting the house fade in my rearview mirror, like a photograph burning from the edges. For a moment, the light from the window caught my face in the mirror, half in shadow, half in the faint glow of the dashboard. The road ahead was empty, quiet, but inside a storm was gathering. They thought I was gone. They thought I had no fight left. They were wrong. As I drove into the cold night, I wasn't just a forgotten father anymore. I was a man coming home, with a plan. I should have known something was coming that night. The way Marcus kept glancing at Tanya during dinner, the way Celia's smile faltered whenever our eyes met. It wasn't just Thanksgiving. It was the beginning of the end, and I was too blind to see it. The house was full of warmth back then. Turkey in the oven, jazz on the radio, grandkids running through the hallway like a pack of wild puppies. I'd spent the morning basting the bird myself, humming the same blues tune my father used to sing. Everything looked perfect, almost too perfect. Celia, Dad, the stuffing tastes just like Mom used to make me. Of course it does. She taught me well, Marcus. Yeah, Dad always sticks to the same way. Every single year, Marcus's comment earned polite laughter, but it carried a sharp edge. I brushed it off. I had learned long ago not to let his little digs ruin a holiday. After dinner, when everyone was slumped on the couches, half asleep from turkey and pie, Marcus and Tanya stayed behind at the table. Celia disappeared with the kids to the living room. I was stacking plates when Marcus cleared his throat. Marcus, Dad, can we talk to you for a second? The tone wasn't warm. It was rehearsed. Me, sure. What's on your mind? Tanya slid a folder across the table toward me. Legal papers. Thick, crisp, neatly stapled. My stomach tightened. Tanya, sweet voice. It's nothing serious, really. Just something to help the family out in the long run. A temporary property transfer. Me? Property transfer? Marcus. Yeah. The house. Look, we talked to a financial advisor. There are huge tax benefits if we put it in my name temporarily. It'll save everyone a lot of money. I stared at the folder like it was a snake. I'd heard of schemes like this before, but I never thought my own son would be the one bringing it to my table. Me. Why my house? Why now? Marcus. Because you're getting older, Dad. You don't want probate issues. This way, when the time comes, everything stays in the family cleanly. I'll handle it. Like the responsible eldest son, should Tanya reached across the table, touching my hand as if to reassure me. Tanya, we'd never do anything to hurt you. This is for everyone's future. My instincts screamed no, but the room around us was filled with the sounds of my grandchildren playing, their little voices echoing through the halls. The air smelled like pie and cinnamon. I didn't want to ruin Thanksgiving with a fight. Me. This isn't a small thing. Property transfers have consequences. Marcus, Dad, come on. Don't make this difficult. It's just paperwork. You'll still live here. You'll still be in charge. We're just thinking ahead. The way he said, "Don't make this difficult," struck a nerve. It wasn't a request. It was a warning wrapped in a son's voice. Me. I need time to read it. Tanya, slightly sharper. It's pretty straightforward. Our lawyer already checked it. You trust us, don't you? Those words. You trust us? The same words I used to say to Marcus when he was a boy, handing him the car keys for the first time. I flipped through the pages, scanning legal terms that blurred together in the dim kitchen light. Temporary transfer, tax advantage, executor rights. It sounded harmless, but something about the way Marcus leaned back, confident, told me this wasn't about taxes. Marcus, Dad, don't overcomplicate it. You always have to control everything. Can't you for once just trust me to handle something? There it was, the real jab. Control, that old wound. Me. This isn't about control. It's about protecting what's mine, Marcus. Raising voice. Ours, Dad. Protecting what's ours. This house isn't just yours anymore. We grew up here, too. You think you'll live forever? The silence that followed was heavy. Tanya leaned in with that calculated softness she had perfected. Tanya. We love this house, too. We just want to make sure it stays in the family. Please, sign it. It's for the best. I looked toward the living room. Celia was laughing with the kids. Marcus's children ran in circles, chasing each other with plastic swords. This house was family. It was memories. Christmas mornings, birthdays, first steps. If signing a piece of paper would make things easier for them in the future, maybe it wasn't the worst idea. Me, sign. Fine. But this is temporary. I expect everything to stay the same, Marcus. Too quickly. Of course. Nothing changes. He handed me a pen like he'd been waiting all night for this moment. My signature slid across the line, sealing something I didn't fully understand. Tanya exhaled in satisfaction. Marcus leaned back, victorious. Looking back, that moment was the real betrayal. Not because of what they did afterward, but because I let them. Months passed. At first, nothing seemed different. But then subtle changes started. Marcus began making suggestions about repairs, renovations, how things should run. Tanya started referring to the house as ours when guests came. Celia stayed silent through it all. That silence hurt more than any words. One night, Marcus confronted me in the kitchen. Marcus, Dad, you're holding everyone back. You won't adapt. You won't let go. It's time to move on. Me. Move on? From my own home? Marcus, you signed it over. This isn't your castle anymore. I'll never forget the way he said it. Calm, cold, final. Within 6 months, I was out. They told neighbors I had chosen to downsize. The truth was I was pushed, not with violence, but with paperwork, silence, and polite smiles. As I packed my last box, Jamie asked, Grandpa, are you coming back for Thanksgiving next year? I forced a smile I didn't feel. Me. We'll see, buddy. We'll see. I walked out of that house with the weight of 30 years on my shoulders. I didn't look back that night, but the betrayal burned itself into my memory like a brand. And now, 10 years later, I was back. Not as the man who signed papers he didn't understand, but as the man who remembered every word, every look, every lie. I didn't disappear. I learned how to be quiet. The first winter after the papers, I rented a one-bedroom above a hardware store in Milford, a town where nobody knew the Ross name. The radiator hissed, the floor complained, and my window faced a red brick church. On Sundays, the bell cut through my sleep, and I went because the sound felt like a hand on my shoulder. Reverend Cole wasn't flashy. He spoke like a carpenter measuring a board. Steady, exact. He noticed me hovering at the back and met me at the door. New in town? Passing through, I said. You've passed through 3 Sundays, he said, smiling. I'm Cole. Calvin? He didn't press. He asked if I could help carry boxes to the food pantry. By the 3rd trip, I was telling him more than I planned. I lost my home, I said. You lost the deed, he answered gently. Home hides elsewhere. We'll find it. I kept coming back, not for prayer, not at first. For work, fixing a leaky trap in the nursery, replacing a scorched outlet, painting trim. When my hands were busy, my mind didn't replay Marcus's voice telling me I was holding everyone back. Cole watched me measure twice and cut once. You run crews? I used to run a family. A rainy Tuesday, he asked me to sit with the treasurer. The roof fund was short. Invoices didn't add up. I don't know church math, I warned. You know sense, he said. That's rarer. We spread receipts across a folding table. Patterns appeared, overcharges, duplicate lines, fees with no oxygen. This vendor's playing you, I said. Show me how to see it, Cole replied. I did. He paid me with coffee and time. Soon I was helping with contracts, insurance, and grants. I learned the difference between title and deed, possession and ownership, control and stewardship. The words that ruined me became tools. I read late into the night and checked my understanding with a lawyer. Cole knew. A woman named Ortega, with a metronome voice and no patience for fog. She skimmed my story. Temporary transfers become permanent losses when the wrong person holds the paper. I signed like a fool, I said. You signed like a father, she said. If you want options later, save documents now. So I did. Emails, texts, photos, old scans, county records. Not much, but enough to outline the betrayal. I didn't call Marcus or Celia. I let silence grow like vines. Years folded over each other. I worked odd jobs, church maintenance, neighbor repairs, a few shifts at the store downstairs. Purpose returned in small tasks. At night, I stood by the window and wondered if Jamie remembered my face. When the ache swelled, I sanded a board until it turned into dust. Milford was plain-spoken. Thursday suppers in the hall taught me that people forgive a dry casserole faster than a hidden motive. Cole said, "You're good at spotting the moment before a bad decision." Did you always have that? I learned it late. Late is still on time. One spring, Ortega taught a workshop in our hall on wills, titles, and powers of attorney. She explained how a clause can be a trapdoor or a seatbelt. I listened, like my life depended on it. When it ended, she handed me a small binder. "You strike me as a planner. Keep records of records. I built a system. Tabs, dates, copies, notes, maps of conversations, screenshots of filings. Slow, clean, legal. A diary of quiet intent." "Why so careful?" Cole asked. "Because I want the truth sharp when I need it." "Truth cuts best when it's calm," he said. Sometimes I drove the long road past the old house and watched from the shade like a fisherman studying a river. The siding changed, new porch lights, the lawn thinned. From public filings I learned more. Marcus refinanced twice. Tanya opened a boutique LLC with a balloon loan. Celia left few footprints. She always loved clean lines. I never used the word revenge with Cole. He liked justice. I liked accuracy. We met at stewardship. "You don't have to strike them," he told me. "I don't plan to strike," I said. "I plan to set things right." 10 Thanksgivings slipped by. I roasted a bird in my oven and set a second plate. "For who?" Cole asked, dropping off pie. "For the man I meant to be." "He's already here." Late that winter, a letter reached me, forwarded by mistake. Ross Family Thanksgiving Reunion, hosted by Marcus and Tanya. A photo of my house and a line that made my jaw tighten. New traditions, same home. I carried it to the church office and set it on Cole's desk. "Is this the moment?" he asked. "Maybe." I don't want to shout across the table. I want the walls to talk. We called Ortega. She read the invitation, then the old transfer, then my notes. She tapped a clause I'd insisted on a decade earlier. Half pride, half fear. A contingency granting the original owner residual powers upon donation to a recognized nonprofit or upon death, properly executed. "You know what this means?" she asked. "Say it out loud." "You still hold a lever," she said. "It won't swing the house back to you. It swings it to a beneficiary you name, if you file precisely." A room inside me aligned. The years of sanding and waiting slid into place like a well-cut joint. Cole folded his hands. "If you pull it, what should the house become? Something that remembers, something that heals what they broke. The legal path is slow," Ortega warned. "Once you move, you can't slam doors." I'm done slamming. Snow fell in thin lines that night. I sat by the window, the binder open, the clause repeating like a drum. I wrote on a blank page, "Beneficiary, Milford First Community Church, Youth Transition Home." The bell struck 9. I closed the binder and breathed out a decade of dust. A week later, my phone buzzed with a number I had deleted. I let it ring, answered. "Dad?" Marcus's voice was smaller than I remembered. "We're hosting the reunion." "You can come, if you want." Silence stretched. I heard dishes clink on his end. "I'll be there," I said. "Good," he replied quickly. "We're doing a toast to new beginnings." "Are you?" I said. "Yeah, just no drama, okay?" "No drama," I said. "I'm coming to listen." When I hung up, I didn't smile. I took down my one good coat and slid the binder into the inside pocket like a quiet blade. Then I practiced saying nothing in the mirror until my face learned patience. On the night before Thanksgiving, I watched snow erase footprints on the church steps. Cole locked up and glanced at my window. "Tomorrow," he called. "Tomorrow," I said. I turned off the lamp, felt the binder settle against my ribs. and understood something simple. I didn't need to be loud to be heard. The papers would do the talking, and when the moment came, the house would remember my name. The letter came on a rainy Tuesday morning, a thin white envelope, my name printed in a font too cheerful for what it carried. It had been forwarded twice, first to my old P.O. box, then to the church office. Reverend Cole slid it across the desk like it was something alive. "Looks like it took the long way," he said. I recognized the handwriting on the return address instantly. Tanya's loops and curls. Marcus's house. My house. I tore it open with my thumb, the paper soft from the rain. Inside was a glossy invitation with gold trim and autumn leaves around the border. Ross Family Thanksgiving Reunion, hosted by Marcus and Tanya Ross. New traditions, same home. The photo on the invitation made my throat tighten. My house, my porch, my front door, except it wasn't mine anymore. Marcus stood on the steps with Tanya, their arms around the kids. The caption read, "Where family comes together." Family. They meant everyone except me. Cole watched me over his glasses. "You all right?" I laid the card flat on the desk. "They didn't mean for this to reach me." "Probably not." I flipped the envelope over. The postmark was local. They hadn't sent it to me directly. My address was crossed out twice. A clerical accident had delivered this little piece of arrogance right into my hands. I slid the invitation back into its envelope and tucked it into my coat pocket. Like a spark I planned to protect until it became a fire. That afternoon I drove to Ortega's office. She was already standing by the window with a file in her hand when I walked in. "You've been digging again," she said without turning around. "They're inviting the entire extended family to my house," I replied. "They're calling it New Traditions." She turned. "Let me guess." Something in that smile tells me you found the old clause. I placed the binder on her desk and opened it to the page I'd dog-eared 10 years ago. Ortega skimmed it quickly, though I knew she'd memorized this language long ago. "Paragraph 14, subsection C," she muttered. "The donation clause." I nodded. "They refinanced the house. Twice. But they never filed a revocation on the original transfer." "This clause still stands," Ortega leaned back. "And that means, if you decide to donate the property to a qualifying nonprofit, your signature overrides theirs." "My signature," I repeated softly. "The one they thought didn't matter anymore." She tapped her pen against the folder. "Marcus probably doesn't even remember that paragraph exists." "Tanya?" She likely never read past the first page. They signed their own blind spot. The thought of Marcus sitting at my old table, confident, careless, filled me with something I hadn't felt in years. Not rage, but clarity. Like finally seeing the outline of a trap that had been under my feet all along. Ortega leaned forward. "If you're serious about this, we need to do it right. Quiet. Legal. Clean. No warning shots." "Good," I said. "I don't plan to warn anyone." That night I sat at my kitchen table with the invitation lying open in front of me. I ran my fingers slowly across the words, "Same home. Same home." They really believed it was theirs forever. I pictured Marcus pacing through the house, feeling untouchable. Tanya planning the seating arrangements, Celia pretending nothing was wrong. I wondered if any of them ever thought about the man who built the foundation beneath their feet. Probably not. I picked up the phone and called Reverend Cole. He answered on the second ring. "Cole speaking." "It's time," I said. He was quiet for a moment. "You're sure?" "Yes." "Then I'll clear my calendar tomorrow." "Ortega too?" "She's already ready." The next morning, the three of us sat around Ortega's conference table. She laid out the legal forms like cards in a game she'd played 1,000 times. "This," she said, pointing to the top sheet, "is the property donation form. Once you sign, it transfers ownership to the church's youth housing program. It's legally airtight. They can't reverse it." Cole folded his hands. "This house could be more than just a house, Calvin. It could be a refuge for kids who don't have one." I thought about that for a moment. The house had always been a symbol in our family, first of unity, then of betrayal, turning it into something bigger than any of us felt right. "Let's do it," I said. Ortega handed me the pen. "Initial here, here, and here." Each stroke of my pen was slow, deliberate. I wasn't signing out of anger. I was signing out of strategy. Every loop and line was a quiet answer to the years they erased me. When the last page was done, Ortega smiled, not kindly, but like a chess player watching a perfect move unfold. "It'll be recorded with the county by next week," she said. "Once it's processed, Marcus and Tanya will get a lovely surprise." I leaned back. They're throwing a family reunion in a house that's already slipping through their fingers. Perfect Cole gave me a look. "You're walking a fine line, Calvin." "I'm not here to destroy them," I said. "I'm here to remind them who built the walls they live in." Later that night, I stood outside the house again. The porch light was on, illuminating the fall wreath Tanya had hung on the door. Through the window, I could see her rearranging table settings, holding a wine glass in one hand. Marcus was on the phone, pacing like he owned the world. I stayed in the shadows across the street, just watching, not with longing anymore, with purpose. Marcus laughed into the phone. "Marcus, yeah, man, the place looks great. It's ours now." "Always will be," I whispered under my breath. "Not for long." As I turned to leave, a neighbor walking his dog nodded at me. "Evening. You here for the reunion too?" I smiled faintly. "Not exactly. Just visiting an old friend." The dog barked once, breaking the stillness. I tucked my hands into my coat pockets and walked back to my car, my heart calm, steady. The invitation had been their mistake. The clause was my weapon, and Thanksgiving was coming. They thought they were planning a celebration. They had no idea they were walking into a reckoning. I didn't knock. I didn't announce myself. I only watched. The night wrapped around me like a cloak, while my family ate in my house and spoke my name, like it was a rumor that no longer mattered. Through the bay window, the dining room glowed like a stage. Marcus stood at the head with his glass raised. Tanya's laugh rang bright and brittle. Celia passed a bowl without looking at the empty place where my chair used to be. I leaned against the maple across the street and kept my phone low, its camera open, steady. Marcus. "To new traditions." Celia. "To peace." Tanya. "To the man who taught us holidays." Wherever he is. Their glasses touched. I felt the click like a nail driven into wood. Me whispering, "I'm right here." A neighbor's porch light blinked. The air smelled of firewood and pie. Cars lined the curb. Cousins I hadn't seen in years carried desserts, and loud laughter meant for show. I lifted the phone. Tap, tap faces, plates, my son wearing my crown chair. Proof is patient when you feed it minutes. Inside, Jamie tugged Marcus's sleeve. Jamie. "Dad, who used to sit there?" Marcus. "Grandpa." "Long time ago, Jamie. Why doesn't he come?" Marcus. "Because he likes things his way." Tanya. "Eat, honey." I slid closer to the hedge and watched Tanya tilt her head towards Celia. Tanya, low. "Post a family shot. Caption it, 'Home is who shows up.'" Celia, dry. "You sure you want to poke him?" Tanya. "He doesn't follow us." Celia. "Everyone follows someone." The bell rang. More coats, more voices, more staged warmth. I remembered answering that door with flour on my hands and a grin so wide it hurt. Tonight I kept still and counted breaths. Uncle Roy. "Marcus, this spread is something else." Marcus. "We worked hard." "Tradition matters, Aunt Lorna. Your father would be proud." Marcus. "He taught me to lead." Lead? He learned how to grab. I crouched by the side yard where the kitchen window breathed steam. I saw the counter I sanded 100 times. The knife block I carved. The notch Jamie made with a toy hammer. Tanya set a pie down and sighed into the sink. Tanya. "If he shows, I swear." Celia. "He won't." Tanya. "Good." "I can't stand the funeral face, Celia. He loved this day." Tanya. "We love it now." Rage wanted to talk. Strategy told it to listen. A car rolled up and idled. Reverend Cole stepped out, coat collar high. He didn't look my way. He didn't need to. Cole, soft. "You ready?" Me. "Watching." Cole. "You don't have to watch pain to prove it exists." Me. "I'm measuring." Cole. "Then measure and go home." Me. "Ortega's still set for morning?" Cole. 8 sharp. He drifted off. I returned to the maple and raised the phone again. Inside, Marcus began a speech. He loved a captive room. Marcus. "Family, thanks for trusting me with this home. We've turned a corner. New budget, new discipline, new leadership." Aunt Lorna. "Hear, hear." Uncle Roy. "Tell it." Celia, under breath. "Please stop." Tanya kissed his cheek and angled herself for photos. Tanya. "Say something about legacy." Marcus. Legacy is about who shows up and stays, Cousin Nate. Preach! Me whispering, legacy is about who builds. A gust rattled the leaves. Someone pulled the drapes halfway, and for a moment, my reflection floated on the glass. A ghost layered over a life that moved without me. I stepped back, then forward, refusing to let a curtain end the record. The kids started a game. Adults paraded compliments. Celia slipped onto the porch, phone to her ear. I edged along the hedge until her voice reached me. Celia, low. I can't get him to talk. He won't answer. Unknown, faint. He will around holidays. Celia, not this year. Unknown. Want me to call him? Celia, no. He deserves peace. My throat tightened. Celia had always been the quiet weather here. Gray sky, rare storm. Me, barely. Thank you, baby. She glanced toward the street as if the words touched her. I stilled until she went inside. Time stretched. I filmed small truths. Marcus slipping cash to Nate with a warning not to post yet. Tanya rehearsing a toast in the hallway mirror. Celia filling plates for a neighbor with no seat. The house made its case without my voice. At 9, the porch photo. I moved farther back, framing them between branches. Marcus front and center. Tanya curating light. Celia half smiling. Jamie frowning. Tanya, on 3. 1, 2. Family. Flash. Laughter. Boots on wood. Then a ping cut the cheer. Marcus checked his phone, froze, pocketed it too fast. Tanya. What? Marcus. Work. Tanya. Tonight? Marcus. Drop it. He didn't know it yet, but anxiety had found a chair. Enough proof. I stepped toward the car, then heard a small voice float through the cracked window. Jamie. Grandpa? I stopped. Every muscle locked. Jamie stood at the sill, fingers white on the wood, eyes wide. Jamie. Is that you? Me. Soft. Hey, buddy. Jamie. Are you coming inside? Me. Not tonight. Jamie. Why? Me. Grown-up things. Jamie. I saved you a role. Me. Thank you. Celia stepped behind him, hand on his shoulder. Her eyes met mine. No hate, no smile. Just tired knowing. Celia. Jamie, close the window. It's cold, Jamie. But, Celia. We'll see Grandpa soon. Soon. The word rang like a bell. I nodded. Jamie lifted a small wave. The window slid shut, drawing a clean line between witness and stage. I reached my car. My phone buzzed. Ortega, recorder set for 8 a.m. Bring ID. Clerk expects us. I typed, I'll be there. I sat with the engine off and listened to a muffled toast I didn't need. Legacy, Marcus had said. Who shows up and stays? I smiled into the dark. Tomorrow I would show up. Tomorrow I would stay in a way none of them could stop. I started the engine and eased away. The porch light dwindled to a coin. The road opened like a held breath, released. Behind me they raised their glasses to a future already shifting. Ahead, the courthouse lights waited like patient witnesses, and the ghost at the window finally learned how to walk through walls. Morning hit like a verdict. I buttoned my best coat, slid the binder against my ribs, and met Reverend Cole on the church steps. Frost sugared the rail. The bell gave 8 steady notes. Ready? He asked. Ready. No speeches. Just paper. Truth prefers paper, he said. We drove to Ortega's office across from the courthouse. She stood in the doorway with a folder. You slept? She asked. Enough. Good. Come in. The room smelled of toner. A neat stack waited in the center, yellow flags marking where I'd sign. Ortega tapped the top page. Deed of gift. It conveys the property to the church's youth housing program. Your retained powers under paragraph 14 authorize the donation. I attached the nonprofit certificate and a statement of acceptance. Cole nodded. We're ready to steward, not display. Walk me through it, I said. She pointed. Intent here. Reference to the original transfer here. Confirmation that you receive no personal benefit here. It stops being a throne. It becomes a shelter. That's the point, I said. Initial here and here. I uncapped the pen and wrote my first initials. Cole murmured, Peace to your hand. We moved page by page. Ortega set a small recorder on the table. Pride hates transcripts, I signed. Let Pride learn to read. Cole signed the acceptance for the program board. His pen scraped. Ortega slid me the final page. This is the transfer instrument, she said. Once recorded, ownership vests immediately in the program. If Marcus asks when it changed, I said, what do we tell him? She glanced at the clock. At whatever minute the clerk stamps it. I breathed once and signed my full name. Ortega squared the stack, clipped it, and stood. All right, she said. We take a short walk. Outside, cold air snapped. The courthouse steps held glaze of ice. Cole paused halfway. Do you want a prayer? I want a receipt, I said, then added, and a prayer. He bowed his head. Let this house lift the young and humble the proud. Amen, I said. Inside, the recording window glowed. A clerk with a gray bun read Ortega's card. Morning, counselor. Morning, Margot. Deed for recording. Margot thumbed through like a pianist warming up. Qualifying attachment, retained power, signatures notarized. Formatting clean. She peered at me. Mr. Ross, you understand this gift is permanent. I prefer permanent to pretend. Good answer, she said, and fed the deed into the scanner. The scanner stamped. Recorded, she said. Timestamp 10:41 a.m. Something loosened behind my ribs. I took the receipt. It felt like paper in hard weather. Back in the hallway, Ortega's phone buzzed. The online index updated, she said. Notices will ping interested parties within the hour. Interested parties, I repeated. Marcus, she said, and his lender. We stepped into the wind. I held the receipt flat between my fingers. Ordinary and holy. How do you feel? Cole asked. Like a door just remembered its hinges. We crossed to Ortega's office and left copies. She filed them. Now you let paper speak, she said. No calls. If they call angry, let it ring. If they text, don't answer first. Understood. My phone vibrated the moment we hit the sidewalk. Unknown number. Then another. I flipped it face down. I want to see the house, I said. Don't gloat, Cole warned. I won't. I'll measure, I drove. The street looked newly washed. When I turned the corner, the house sat in cold light. The wreath clicking against the door I hung 20 years ago. A truck idled. A package thumped. The quince bush I planted when Celia was born rattled in the wind. I parked across the street and watched. Nothing dramatic happened. That was the point. The loudest things in life sometimes move on paper. My phone buzzed again. Marcus. I let it ring to the end. A text followed. Call me. Urgent. Another. Did you do something? Then, answer the phone, Dad. Dad. The word hit a place I keep behind bone. I set the phone down. Across the way, Tanya opened the door, scooped the box, and frowned at something on her screen. She called inside. Tanya. Marcus, did you change something with the mortgage? His voice floated back, bluff and brittle. Marcus. No. Why? Tanya. I got an alert from the lender and from the county. It says, recorded transfer? I don't... The door closed. Voices muffled. I sat still, hands on my knees. My phone rang again. I didn't pick up. A minute later, it buzzed with a message that tried to sound calm. We need to talk. Now. I whispered to the windshield. We will. On Sunday, a boy on a scooter zipped past. Life stayed ordinary while a fault line opened. I rolled the window down. Me, to myself. It's done. Relief wasn't fireworks. It was a quiet room finally aired out. I pictured the youth wing at the church, the stuck door we kept meaning to plane, the first kid who would sleep in a house built with steady hands. My phone chimed again. Celia, not Marcus. Are you safe? I typed back. Yes. She replied, okay. No blame. No lecture. Just a line across water. I started the engine, pulled away, and headed for the church. Cole was in the hall with a level and a box of screws. You plane, I'll hold, he said. We set the door on horses. The blades skimmed. Shavings curled. Any calls? He asked. Plenty. You answer? I will. Later. When the house knows its name, we rehung the door. It swung true. My phone rattled on the table again. Marcus. Then Tanya. Then a number I didn't know. I let them stack up like plates. I put the plane away and listened to the building settle. A soft ticking like calm breath. Outside, the flag lifted once and fell. Somewhere a bell rang noon. It sounded like permission. Paper had spoken first. On Sunday, I would speak last. The deed recorded at 10:41 a.m. By 1:03, the house began to shake without moving. My phone flashed across the table like a trapped fish. I let it jump. At 1:05, I answered. Me. Calvin Ross. Marcus. What did you do? Me. Good afternoon, Marcus. Don't play polite. I just got a county alert that says transfer recorded. To who? Me. Read the notice. Marcus. It won't open. Pop-ups and junk. Just tell me. Me. Not junk. Documentation. Marcus. Dad, Calvin, if this is a prank, it's not funny. Me. It isn't a prank. Marcus. Then fix it. Me. It isn't broken. He breathed hard into the line. Papers shuffled. Somewhere a drawer slammed. Marcus. Tanya, call the bank. Now Tanya, distant. Which line? Marcus. Any line. He dropped back to me. Marcus. You can't just take a house. Me. No one took it. Marcus. Then what is this? Me. A correction. He hung up. 10 seconds later, a lender's number flashed. I let it die. 30 seconds after that, Celia called. Celia, are you safe? Me. Yes. Celia, are you okay? Me. Yes. Celia. Will you talk to him? Me. Sunday. Celia. He's not going to wait. Me. Paper already did. Silence breathed on the line. Celia. I'll bring Jamie to church in the morning. Me. I'd like that. Celia. Be careful. I set the phone down. Cole watched me from the doorway, a box of hymnals in his arms. Storm lines? He asked. Crackling, I said. Let lightning find its own ground, he replied. At 1:17, my phone buzzed again. Video call. I let it ring out. At 1:19, a photo arrived. My dining room table. The notice open on a laptop screen. The headline bright. Deed of gift. Milford First Community Church. Youth Transition Home. Under it, my full name. I drove to the street and parked under the maple. The afternoon light was the color of old paper. Across the way, Marcus paced the porch with his phone pressed to his forehead. Tanya stood in the doorway, mouth tight. A messenger bag sagged from her shoulder like a defeated flag. Tanya. They're saying it's valid. Marcus. It can't be. Tanya. The clerk said it's recorded. Marcus. Then we unrecord it. Tanya. That's not a thing? Marcus. Everything's a thing with money. A silver sedan stopped short. A man in a wool coat stepped out, thin briefcase in hand. Marcus. Finally. Lawyer. I came as soon as I saw the alert. Tanya. Tell us this is a mistake. Lawyer. Let me read. They went inside. I stayed with the maple. Wind combed the branches. A nail head glinted in the porch rail where I'd set it long ago and never sunk flush. It looked like a tiny eye. Through the window, I saw the lawyer lean over the laptop, index finger tracing lines. He spoke. Marcus barked. Tanya wrung a napkin into rope. 10 minutes later, they spilled onto the porch. Lawyer, he retained a donation, right? It's in the original transfer. Marcus, I signed that when I was 30. No one keeps those, lawyer. He did? Tanya, can we block it? Injunction? Lawyer, the beneficiary is a qualified nonprofit. There's acceptance signed by the board. He followed the statute. Marcus, then undo the statute. Lawyer, that's not how statutes work. Tanya spotted the neighbor and lowered her voice. Tanya, hissing. We have the reunion Sunday. If this gets out, lawyer, it's already out. The index is public. Marcus, he'll be here. He wants to humiliate us. Lawyer, if he wanted that, he'd be live streaming. He's quiet. Marcus, quiet is worse. My phone buzzed again. A text from Ortega. They called my office. I told them to email. Another. Do not engage today. Let them chase rumors until they hit documents. I typed understood and slid the phone away. Across the street, a delivery van rolled up. The driver hopped out with 2 envelopes. Driver, certified for Marcus and Tanya Ross. Marcus, what now? Driver, sign here. He scrawled his name. Tanya tore one open. Her face paled. Tanya, 30 days to vacate? Lawyer, standard notice from the new owner. Marcus, new? That church doesn't even have kids who need a house. Lawyer, they will. The door flew open again. Celia stood in the hallway, arms crossed, eyes on the lawyer. Celia, is this legal? Lawyer, yes. Celia, then stop shouting and start planning. Marcus turned on her. Marcus, you knew he'd pull something. Celia, I knew you never read anything. Marcus, you're taking his side? Celia, I'm taking the side of reality. Jamie peered from behind her. He looked small, the kind of small that isn't about height. Jamie, are we moving? Celia, soft, not today, baby. Tanya, go to your room. Jamie stepped back, eyes on the floor. Celia put a hand on his shoulder and turned him toward the stairs. Celia, Low. Pack the stuffed bear. Just in case Jamie. Okay. Marcus caught sight of me across the street as if my stillness finally made a noise. He took 3 hard steps to the sidewalk. Marcus. You proud of this? Me. I'm calm about it. Marcus. You ruined Thanksgiving. Me. I corrected Thanksgiving. Marcus. This house is our center. Me. It was meant to be a shelter. Marcus. For who? Me. For the ones who need it? He laughed without humor. Marcus. You think a charity will love you back? Me. I'm not looking for love. Marcus. You're looking for revenge. Me. I'm looking for stewardship. The lawyer stepped between us. Lawyer. Mr. Ross, do you intend to trespass on Sunday? Me. I intend to attend a family reunion. Lawyer. After this, you think you'll be welcome? Me. Welcome is optional. Truth is not. Tanya joined them, chin lifted like a dare. Tanya. If you wanted to talk, you could have talked. Me. You told me to trust you. I prefer paper. Tanya. You embarrassed us. Me. The deed doesn't blush. Celia came to the edge of the porch, eyes searching mine. Celia. Can we meet before Sunday? Me. I'll be at church in the morning. Celia. We'll come. Marcus shook his head hard. Marcus. No one's going anywhere. We'll fix this first, lawyer. Fixing may mean accepting. Marcus. You work for me. Lawyer. I work for the law. A lender's sedan eased to the curb. A woman in a navy coat stepped out with a tablet. Lender rep. Mr. Ross, I'm here regarding your refinance. We received notice of a title change that affects collateral. Marcus. It's a clerical error. Lender rep. It's recorded. Marcus. So unrecorded. Lender rep. That's not a thing. She and the lawyer traded glances that said they were tired of being asked to bend gravity. Lender rep. We'll need to discuss payment options and potential acceleration. Tanya. Acceleration of what? Lender rep. Your timeline. The wind rose and scattered the last of the maple's leaves across the walk like torn pages. I stepped back to the car. Marcus called after me. Marcus. You're not walking away from this. Me. I didn't walk away. I walked through. I drove to the church. Inside, the fellowship hall smelled like coffee and floor wax, coal-weighted with 2 folding chairs, and a silence that fit neatly between them. Tell me, he said. They're scared, I answered. Fear speaks first. Let it run out of words, Ortega called on speaker. Ortega. They'll threaten suit. Let them. The record's clean. Expect public theater. On Sunday. Me. I'll be there. Ortega. Bring the receipt. Speak plainly. No gloating. Me. I plan to. Ortega. Good. Paper has already won? Don't let pride lose. We hung up. Cold-poured coffee. The cheap kind that tastes like meetings. Are you steady? He asked. I'm steady, I said, but I'm angry. Keep the anger in your shoes, he said. It will help you stand. Not speak. Evening sagged early. The church windows gathered the fading light and held it like old friends. I thought of Jamie's small voice, Celia's firm one, Tanya's sharp one, Marcus's loud one. I thought of the first boy who'd sleep under that roof without hearing a fight through a door. My phone lit again, a text from an unknown number. If you come Sunday, you'll regret it. Then another from Celia. Ignore him. 10 a.m. service? I typed. Front left pew. Cole set the empty cups aside. You know what you'll say? Yes, I answered, and exactly when I'll stop. We locked the hall. Outside, the night felt like a held breath. Behind me, the church lights warmed. Ahead, the porch lights on my old house flickered like they were nervous. On Sunday, the room would be full. On Sunday, the truth would have a microphone, and I would hand it the receipt. They dressed the living room like a stage and waited for an apology I didn't bring. The house smelled of cinnamon and polish. Cousins lined the walls with paper plates, whispering at their phones. Marcus stood at the fireplace like a judge. Tanya's smile had too many teeth. Celia sat with Jamie on the arm of a chair, one hand in his curls. A dozen faces turned when I stepped across the threshold. Afternoon, I said. Marcus's glass tapped the mantel. We'll keep this civil. That would be new, I said, keeping my coat in my arm. Tanya nodded at a side table. Refreshments are for guests. I'm family, I said. Uncle Roy cleared his throat. Let's just talk. Marcus squared his shoulders. I'll start. Dad, Calvin, whatever you prefer. We received a notice that claims you transferred this property to a church. You will undo that today, Cousin Nate whispered. He brought the binder, and a few phones lifted like curious birds. I set the binder on the coffee table and kept my palm on it. You received a deed. Not a rumor, Tanya laughed. You can't take a house you already gave away. I didn't take anything, I said. I exercised a right you ignored. Celia watched me carefully. Explain it. Plain, 10 years ago you pushed a transfer for tax benefits, I said. I negotiated paragraph 14. It granted me the power to donate this property to a qualified nonprofit. I signed that donation Friday morning. It recorded at 10:41 a.m. Marcus scoffed. You think you're clever. No, I said. I think I read what I signed. So this was premeditated, Tanya said. So was asking for signatures after pie, I said. Aunt Lorna folded her arms. Marcus, did you really do that? It was advice, he snapped, from a professional. I opened the binder and laid down the certified copy. The receipt shone like ice. Gasps moved through the room. Jamie's voice trembled. What does it mean? Celia squeezed his hand. It means change. Marcus stepped forward. You can't humiliate us in front of family. I didn't publish a thing, I said. The county did. Marcus pointed at me. You think this makes you noble? It makes the house useful, I said. Uncle Roy shifted. Useful how? I nodded toward Reverend Cole, who had stepped inside quietly and waited by the doorway like a witness. Heads turned. Cole, I said, tell them. He cleared his throat. We house teens aging out of foster care. We teach work skills, finish GEDs, counsel. 4 beds to start. A family table in the center, Tanya sneered. So you steal a family's home to give it to strangers. Cole met her eyes. We're returning it to its purpose. Marcus spread his hands. See? A sermon. I lifted the receipt. Not a sermon? A stamp. Celia stood. Enough theater, she said to Marcus. Ask what you really want to ask. He swallowed. Fine. Dad. Why? Because houses teach, I said. This one taught the wrong lesson. What lesson? Tanya asked. That comfort is a reward for control, I said. That signatures are weapons. That silence is consent. With my equity, I said to the room, you financed lifestyle and leverage. I'm ending that class, Celia's voice cut through. Stop circling. What happens now? 30 days, I said. Then renovations. The neighborhood will be invited. You're welcome to help. You expect me to paint for your project? Tanya asked. I expect you to choose who you are, I said. Marcus's jaw flexed. You want contrition? Here, he raised his voice. If my father wanted respect, he could have asked for it like a man. Instead, he hid behind a clause. I stepped closer until hearth heat touched my back. I asked for respect when I signed. You promised temporary. You made it permanent by behavior, he laughed. You left. You pushed, I said. Celia spoke into the hush. We can throw old sentences for an hour, or we can plan. Plan what? Our humiliation? Tanya asked. Plan your move, Celia said. Jamie slid off the chair and walked to me, small shoulders squared. Grandpa, will there be kids like me in that house? Kids who need a steady table, I said. You already have one. He nodded, brave and brittle, and returned to Celia. The lawyer arrived late, breath frosting. He scanned the papers with a grim mouth. It's valid, he said. Any fight will be expensive and public. Fix it, Marcus said. I can't, the lawyer answered. I can tell you how to leave with dignity. This is theft, Tanya said. It's stewardship, Cole replied, and a corrective. Shut up, she snapped. That's enough, Celia said sharply. Talk to me, not at him. Marcus drew himself tall. Okay, Dad, you've made your point. Now be merciful, I am, I said. I didn't sell it to a stranger. I gave it to a mission with open doors. I left you. Time. He stared at the hearth. Do you hate me? No, I said. I hate what greed did to us. The words landed heavy. 30 days isn't enough, Tanya said. Then ask for help, I said, not favors. Help. Celia looked at Cole. If we help renovate, can Jamie visit the table sometimes? Cole nodded. He can help set it. Jamie's face lit like a pilot light taking. Tanya blinked as the future rearranged itself one chair at a time. Marcus's phone buzzed and buzzed. He silenced it like killing a gnat. "We won't leave," he said. "You'll have to drag us out." "I won't drag anyone," I said. "But the date won't change." The lawyer exhaled. "He's right." "So this is it," Tanya whispered. "Not all of it," I said. "You still decide who you are after this." "I tried to build a legacy," Marcus said quietly. "Legacy without honor is storage," I said. "Say one more proverb and I'll—" Celia moved between us. "No." The room held its breath. I set the binder in the center of the table, open to the stamp. "This house will hear laughter again," I said. "Maybe the kind that heals." I turned to go. "Where are you going?" Marcus asked. "To church," I said. "We're planning bunk sizes." Tanya's voice followed, smaller. "Will they be safe there?" "We intend to make it so," Cole said. At the door I paused. "Today was your stage," I said. "Next is the work." I stepped onto the porch. Cold air rushed my lungs clean. Inside, voices rose, arguing, bargaining, quieting. Paper had already written the choreography. I descended the steps. Celia slipped out with Jamie. 10 a.m., front left pew, she said. "I'll hold your spot," I answered. Marcus appeared at the door, something unspoken shaking in his eyes. He didn't speak. For the first time in a decade, he listened. 30 days, I said. "Make them count." I walked to the curb with Cole. The maples hissed, old leaves scratching concrete like paper finding a file. Behind us, the door closed. Ahead, the work began. And somewhere between the two, a sharp sound cut the cold air. Marcus's voice, breaking at last. "Tanya, what did we do?" The question hung unanswered as the house prepared to change hands, and the first hammer waited for morning. The week after the reunion tasted like metal. Every day had a deadline, every room had a clock, and every call started with someone pretending not to panic. Lawyer: 30 days means 30. Tanya: "We're not leaving." Marcus: "We'll find a judge." I stayed off their porch and on my plan. Mornings I measured rooms with Cole at the church. Cole: 4 bunks, east wall. Me: a desk by the window. Cole: and a table that forgives noise. Celia arrived with Jamie in coats too thin for the wind. Celia: "He wanted to see the new table." Jamie: "Can I help?" Me: "Pick the first chair." He ran a palm across raw pine, eyes steady. Something unclenched. He called on Wednesday. Marcus: "You win." Me: "It isn't a game." Marcus: "Then stop keeping score." Me: "Start keeping promises." Marcus: "You want me homeless?" Me: "I want you honest." He hung up. The silence felt like a stare I couldn't skip. On Thursday, the lender taped a notice to their door. Tanya's text turned from sharp to tired. "We built a life here." I typed replies and deleted them. Ortega's rule held: let paper speak. Friday we hosted volunteers. Someone brought mattresses, someone else lamps. Volunteer: "Who's moving in?" Cole: "Teens aging out." Volunteer: "How many?" Me: "As many as we can hold without breaking." While we worked, a car idled at the curb. Marcus stepped out, alone, unshaven, empty-handed. Marcus: "You chose strangers over your son." Me: "I chose a truth we can live with." Marcus: "I can't live with it." Me: "Then change you, not the deed." He stared past me at the lumber. Marcus: "Remember trusting the bubble?" Me: "Level saves shelves." Marcus: "I hate that lesson today." Me: "Gravity doesn't vote." He left without cursing. That scared me more than heat. Sunday, Celia and Jamie slid into the front left pew. Cole preached on foundations. Cole: "A home isn't where you get your way. It's where you learn your weight." By Monday, cardboard multiplied on Marcus's porch. Celia hauled loads to her apartment. Jamie carried the bear. Tanya stood in the doorway like a guard who'd lost her post. Celia: "He's drowning." Me: "Throw lines he'll take." Celia: "He won't take any." Me: "Then keep Jamie dry." The last week moved like a slow elevator. Each day clicked up a number toward the same floor. Thursday night, Jamie found me in the hall while Celia spoke with Cole. Jamie: "Are you mad at my dad?" Me: "I'm mad at choices." Jamie: "If I make better ones, can we live there?" Me: "You already live here," I said, tapping his chest. Friday came gray and exact. I parked a block away and walked. The house looked smaller. Boxes lined the porch. Tanya stared at the street. Tanya: "You won't get a show from me." Me: "I don't want one." Tanya. Then stop watching. Me. I'm here in case Jamie needs somewhere to look. Celia came down with the last box. Celia. Keys? Me. The deputy will ask. Celia. He won't need mine. A county sedan eased to the curb. 2 deputies stepped out. One checked a clipboard. Deputy. Marcus and Tanya Ross? Marcus from the hall. Here. Deputy. We need the keys. Marcus stepped onto the porch. His hands were fists with no plan. Marcus. One more day. Deputy. We don't have days. He looked at me, not like a son at a father, but like a man at a wall. Marcus. If I hand these over, are we done? Me. If you hand them over, we can start. Marcus. Start what? Me. Repair. He reached into his pocket, pulled out the ring, and weighed it like a memory. Tanya turned away. Jamie gripped Celia's fingers. Deputy. Sir! The keys hovered above his palm, shaking. Me. Marcus, please. He closed his eyes. Marcus. This was supposed to be mine. Me. It was supposed to be good. Metal chimed. He didn't let go. Instead, Marcus opened his eyes, clear, furious, breaking, and did something I didn't plan for. He curled his fist around the keys, stepped back across the threshold, and slammed the door. The deadbolt turned. Furniture scraped across wood. Tanya's voice cut through in a high, thin wire. Tanya, don't do this. Marcus, don't. The deputies traded a look that said paperwork and patience. One radioed. The other faced the door and spoke like to a ledge. Deputy, sir, don't make this worse. Silence. Then the thud of a window. The house learning a new language of refusal. Celia pulled Jamie close. Breathe, she whispered. Cole appeared at my shoulder, quiet as weather. Cole, stand steady. Me, I am. Cole, then be ready. Me, for what? Another county car turned the corner. The street narrowed with uniforms and waiting. For the moment, you have to choose between being right, Cole said, eyes on the door, and being good. The handle rattled from inside, and the house held its breath. Now. The deadbolt clicked, a sound like a verdict waiting for a voice. Sir, we'd rather not force the door, the deputy said. Celia looked at me. Dad, she said, please. I stepped to the porch. Marcus, it's me. Go away, he said through the panel. I won't, I answered. Not to win. To end this right. Open the door. Hand me the keys, and I'll give you time and help. No headlines. We write the ending ourselves. Silence. You won't sell it? He asked. It's already given, I said. But the leaving can be gentle. The lock turned. The door opened a hand's width. Marcus's eyes were raw. You win, he said. No, I told him. We choose. He looked at Jamie, then placed the keys in my palm. Warm metal, shaking. The deputy exhaled. Tanya leaned on the frame. Marcus faced me. What am I after this? Start with honest, I said. Then practice kind. The church hall can store your boxes for 2 weeks, Cole added. Okay, Marcus said. The deputies logged the exchange and left. Celia straightened. Let's work, she said. Jamie, small box. Marcus, coat rack. Dad, Calvin, photos I lifted the frame with our last whole Thanksgiving. This goes to the new table, I said. We carried until the hallway was clear. In the dining room, Marcus stared at the notch Jamie made with a toy hammer. We leave marks, he said. Some we sand, I answered. Some we keep. By dusk, the porch was empty. Marcus stood at the threshold like the floor might tip. Do you hate me? He asked. I don't, I said. I hated how power felt in our hands. So I put it where no one needs a throne. Where do I go? Forward, I said. And on Fridays to the church. He almost smiled. You still make stuffing. I make room, I said. They drove away. Cole leaned beside me. You kept more than a deed, he said. What? Your son. We unlocked the door. We're going to use you well, I told the house. Weeks became hammers and dust. Volunteers painted. Ortega brought a crooked lamp and sanded. Celia and Jamie built the first shelf. Tanya left kitchenware without a speech. Marcus showed up Friday with a toolbox. We open in 2 days, Cole said. Then set the table, I answered. 4 plates, a bowl of oranges. The photo on the mantel, not a trophy, a compass. On opening night, 2 boys arrived with plastic bags. Jamie stood straighter than both. Welcome, he said. One touched the table. We can really eat here? You can, I said, and argue kindly. And sleep. And try again tomorrow. We ate stew that tasted of patience. Afterward, Jamie prayed, "Thank you for this house. Help us use it right." Marcus lingered in the doorway. "I fixed the squealing hinge," he said. "I heard," I answered. "Thank you." He watched the boys, then me. "Can I stop by sometimes?" "If you come to work," I said, "I can carry." "Then carry." Later, I went to the cemetery and set my palm on Evelyn's stone. "They tried to turn the house into a crown," I told her. "We turned it into a table." When I returned, Porchlight was on. Jamie had taped a scrap. "Home is who eats and works." Marcus's handwriting added, "and makes it safe." Celia texted a photo of their apartment. Boxes, plants by a window. Jamie drawing a bunk bed with 4 names. "We're okay," she wrote. "See you Friday." Friday came. The hall filled with steam and chatter. Marcus hauled crates. Tanya stacked plates. Celia organized a closet. Cole stirred the pot. I set the photo where sunlight could find it. Jamie tugged my sleeve. "Grandpa," he whispered, "can I say the toast?" "Go on," I said. He lifted a plastic cup. "To new traditions," he said. "To fixing what we broke. To people who show up and stay." Someone knocked. Tentative. Another teen stood on the porch with a paper bag. "Dinner?" he asked. "Welcome home," I said. We all made space at the table. The house warmed like a hand reaching another hand. As the room settled, Marcus stepped beside me. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For not letting my worst day be my last day." "I didn't," I said. "You didn't." He nodded. "I'm learning Level." "Level saves shelves," I said. "And sons," he answered. Night came. We stacked chairs, checked locks. I turned the key and paused on the threshold. I had returned to a place that once erased me and left it better than I found it. Not a king, not a ghost, a steward. The house kept its promise. So did we.